If you're watching this, I'm not here. Not dead, I mean, I'm just not physically here. I mean, I'm never physically here by the time the video goes up. I don't just stand here waiting for episodes to be filmed. But what I mean is this is set in the past because I filmed it in the past. Even more past than I usually do. Ooh. Yeah, basically I'm on a trip right now. I mean a traveling trip, not. I'm on a trip right now, and this has been filmed in advance, so if something massive has happened in the game industry right now, if Peter Molyneux's head exploded scanners-like, or David Cage showed an ounce of humility, I won't be here to cover that momentous occasion. Here's just a bit of an evergreen topic for you. So yeah, don't come bothering me with, oh, why didn't you cover this? Why didn't you cover that? As happens sometimes. I'm not here. I will be back though, and whatever it is, I will dutifully serve you, because I'm so good to you, you little sub. Nope. Nuh-uh. Stop that. No. No, this will not stand. This cannot be abided. This nonsense, this fucking horsey shit, this can stop right here. We cannot start, and I absolutely positively mean cannot start, calling video games quadruple A. It's ridiculous, absurd, and it's arrogant beyond measure. Regular viewers will know that I've always, almost always, uttered the term AAA games with contempt, or if not, only insisting on referring to the games in question as so-called AAA games. When the phrase grew in popularity over the course of the late 2000s, I began to view it with greater and greater revulsion. When the industry refers to AAA games, it means the games with the highest development and marketing budgets, the major titles released by large publishers such as Activision, which faces severe allegations of systemic abuse, or Ubisoft, which faces severe allegations of systemic abuse. There's something just so fucking smug sounding about AAA. Such a title evokes thoughts of top quality and highly graded material. In baseball, a AAA team represents those in the minors closest to the big leagues, and that is undoubtedly how the so-called AAA game industry sees itself. The big leagues, the blockbusters, the ones with the most money, and therefore better than everything else. One paper suggests the phrase was borrowed from credit rating agencies, where the term refers to the highest credit quality, the best bonds with the most potential to meet with financial success. According to Fitch, one such credit agency, AAA classifications are assigned only in cases of exceptionally strong capacity for payment of financial commitments. And again, that's how the mainstream game industry sees itself: exceptional, the safest bet on the block. If we associate the game industry's use of the term with the credit industries, that sense of the exceptional is pretty fucking fitting. After all, this is an industry that believes itself entitled to gambling mechanics without abiding by any gambling restrictions. The industry that believes it's entitled to fight the sale of used games as if their products are somehow more specially weshally than literally every other non-consumable product on the fucking planet. Breathe. The industry that feels entitled to impose restrictions and controls past the point of sale in a deluded bid to fight the exaggerated scourge of piracy. The industry that considers itself entitled to sell you the rights to play a game rather than the game itself. Pure self-awarded exceptionalism. Just so fucking self-entitled. AAA is said to have been first used in the game industry in the late 1990s, but gained popularity in the late 2000s as budgets inflated, marketing became increasingly fucking insufferable, and mainstream publishers started to really like the sound of a phrase that oozed high esteem. It's an undeserved name for an undeserving industry. It lays no justifiable claim to a term that suggests exceptional quality and trustworthiness over independent developers, many of whom are more than capable of churning out better than the latest overhyped, undercooked, thoroughly mediocre big budget product. And so I say AAA with all the venom a word can possibly drip. It's a pompous, self-important, wantonly dubious term in the game industry, when mainstream is about as accurate a classification as I'm diplomatic enough to accept. And that's all they are, really. That's their signifier. They're just mainstream. mainstream and ridiculously expensive. Look, I don't mean to shit on an entire industry full of creative minds, even if that's what I've explicitly chosen to do. There are perfectly adequate AAA games. There are even a handful of fucking fantastic ones, though far from the number of ridiculous 9s and 10s awarded in mainstream game reviews of mainstream games. God, it's an industry of software that's considered perfect until a year after release, when we all agree that they weren't really that good. Oh, but the sequel's gonna be the best thing since the last fucking game we thought was the best thing since the last fucking game. Whenever I think the game industry can't stuff its metaphorical head further up its AAA hole, it pulls off a power move of pomposity. And so, with the dawn of the 9th console generation, game companies up the ante with their latest fuckwad term for fuckwads, quadruple A. I'm not even sure I've got the energy to say it with the extended sarcasm that I reserve for AAA. The best I think I can manage is exhausted misery. Look, I think language can evolve, and I am almost universally in favour of new terms appearing and older ones changing in meaning. But this is an overinflated bit of ego, inflating itself even fucking further. And however way you slice it, it doesn't make a lick of fucking sense. In terms of quality, let's face it, nothing is changing. Games will still be rushed out of the door as sloppy broken messes, will still be deliberately designed to be less enjoyable without additional purchases, and will still popularly take the form of generic trend-chasing garbage, and will continue to be made by abusive, malicious corporations purely in service to corporate interests. In short, AAA games will always be a fuck. In terms of being a financially safe bet, how is a fucking quadruple A game any more guaranteed of profit than a so-called triple A one? Near as I can tell, most major publishers will continue to pump out the same guff and rake in what they've been raking in. A new console generation doesn't suddenly make that generation's games more worthy of trust and more likely to turn a profit. Unless, of course, those companies are banking on the absurd price hike to $70 per game to create a sudden rise in revenue. Though let's face facts here, these dummies didn't think all that deeply about it, they just tacked another A on because they thought it made new games sound even better. The term sure as fuck doesn't sound better. Now it's just more awkward to say than even AAA. I mean, how the fuck does quadruple roll off the tongue? It doesn't. It's not shorthand. It's at least 2 syllables too long to refer to an industry that mostly deserves one, and that syllable is the word shit. Besides which, if all the AAA games become quadruple A games, and if the term catches on, there's no way game publishers won't liberally apply the term to the same muddy degree as AAA, then what exactly will AAA games be? Will we just retire the term, nonsensically hand it down to higher budget indie games, which some people still insist on calling double A, like that even makes a lick of fucking sense? I don't fucking know. It's a load of old bollocks. Some might say that this issue doesn't really matter, especially when compared to the gravity of some of the stories we've had to talk about this year. Well, firstly, I wish I could live in a world where those heavy stories never needed to happen, and I could spend my days focusing entirely on how AAA game is an asshole's term, and quadruple A game should be said exclusively by game executives, because game executives are total fucking wankers, and quadruple A game is something said by total fucking wankers. Are you not a fucking total wanker, and have you been saying quadruple A? I wouldn't repeat what total fucking wankers say if I were you, lest you sound like a total fucking wanker and say things that total fucking wankers would say. I can't tell you what you can and can't say. I'm not Ted Raimi. I can only tell you whether or not you sound like a total fucking wanker. Now, in the grand cosmic scheme of things, this doesn't matter per se, outside of petty personal grievances and a distinctly adversarial attitude I hold towards the companies, perpetuating harmful practices and harmful environments while coining phrases that make them sound so much more deserving of plaudits than they do. But you know, it's something that total fucking wankers say. Quadruple A. It's just exhausting. The game industry is fucking exhausting. Video games. Not even once. Thank God for me, I suppose. I don't know why I bother. Well, because I need a job.